Okay, so this presentation is part of Graduate Support Week, which is run by the Careers and Employability Service at the University of Lincoln. I've been asked to do a presentation on the postgraduate study option. Many of you may be considering postgraduate study for either next year or maybe in the future. So this session is to answer questions that you have and to tell you the benefits of postgraduate study as well. So to go through the reasons why you may want to choose to stay on for further education, how that can benefit you in terms of your career, and then we'll look at the more practical elements as well, such as how you can fund postgraduate study and how to apply. So this presentation is going to be very fixed towards the University of Lincoln. Other universities may have different application methods, so I'm just talking from the perspective of the University of Lincoln. So before we begin, has anybody already applied for postgraduate study? If you have, put yes in the chat. Okay, great. So quite a few of you. Lovely. Okay, well, we will talk through the benefits then. When it comes to how to apply and what have you, then obviously that's not going to be something you need to worry about anymore. You've already done it. But if you have questions about your next steps, i.e. accepting your offer, applying for funding, then please do ask about that. Okay, so the first slide then is why study a master's. Now, for those of you who've already applied, you may have really clear ideas in your head as to why you chose to continue to go on to further study. But for those of you who may still be unsure, there are a number of different reasons why postgraduate study may be the best option for you. Now, lots of people choose to go on to master's education to specialise in a subject, so to build on the expertise that they've gained throughout their undergraduate degree. So if you've really loved your subject through the last 3 years, you want to specialise within that particular field, become an expert in that field, then postgraduate study is a great way of doing that. Now, the University of Lincoln has loads of different pathways that you can go on to. So there may be a number of different subjects that you're currently considering that fall within your expertise area, your field. So really it's about finding what do you want to specialise in, where is your interest, where does that lie, and how do you think that it can get you into the career that you want to go into after you leave us. Other people choose to study a master's to maximise their employability. Now, studying for a postgraduate degree is a really good way of upskilling. You learn so many new skills on postgraduate courses. You really refine your research skills, your group work skills, your writing, your oral presentation skills. So studying a master's course or even going on to PhD will give you new skills that will enable you to really impress in job applications and CVs. Another way of maximising your employability through postgraduate study is that you make new networks. Now, one of the main differences between undergraduate study and postgraduate study is that there is a more collegiate atmosphere at postgraduate level. You're in smaller groups generally. You have a different relationship to the academics as well. So it's much more of a colleague experience as opposed to being taught at. And that can really help with getting into certain professional networks. You can utilise the relationships that you make at postgraduate level in order to hopefully progress your career after you leave. And I've just really want to quickly interrupt because I can see that Harriet's asked a question. We do offer teacher training. We offer a PGC in primary and secondary education, and they are SCIT programs. So that means that they're school-centred initial teacher training programs. And we can talk about that towards the end of the presentation if you've got any more questions. But yes, we do offer teacher training opportunities. The other way of maximising your employability through postgraduate study is that you differentiate yourself. Now, many people are aware that it's becoming more and more common for people to go on to degrees, and you'll quite often see news reports about a kind of saturation of graduates in the job market. getting a postgraduate qualification under your belt is a really good way of standing out from other people who are graduating at similar times to you and going on to the same sorts of jobs. And as we'll see in one of the next slides, it is becoming more common for employers to see people with postgraduate qualifications apply for these jobs. So it's quite likely that you will be potentially up against people with postgraduate qualifications. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Another reason why you may want to study a master's is because you want to change your career direction. Now, it could be that you've really enjoyed the past 3 years of your undergraduate degree, but that you don't really see yourself going into a career in that area. If so, there are ways of diversifying your skill set, diversifying your experience, and changing your direction through postgraduate study. A lot of people would be surprised at the types of courses that they are able to apply for at postgraduate level, coming from a variety of different academic backgrounds. And we do have a slide on this presentation about those conversion masters, as we call them. So we'll go and talk about that later. And it may be that, like myself, when I was an undergraduate student, I did a history degree and absolutely loved it, but I didn't want a career in that particular field. So I ended up changing and I did a conversion law course. So those options are open to you, and I'll go on to talk about them in a later slide. And finally, academia. Many of the academics at the University of Lincoln will be either master's level or PhD level ex-students. So they've stayed on and they love their subject so much that they've decided to teach in it. And as I said, most of them at the University of Lincoln and across the board at other universities will have stayed on at postgraduate level, and they do have that additional qualification. Ultimately, all of the reasons that we've just discussed, they're aimed at meeting your career aspirations. You want the postgraduate course that you're studying to help you get to a job that you love, and that's really, really important. So it's a very personal decision. It really depends on what you want to go on to next, what you think you may be interested in, but ultimately you want that postgraduate course to get you into a job that you really enjoy. Now, I've just seen a question from Bradley. What degree classification do you need to be a tutor? I'm supposing that means teaching, does it? I think with going on to a teaching qualification at the University of Lincoln, I think you need to get a 2-1 or above. Now, for PGCE programmes, the admissions process is run by the schools. They advertise their vacancies for trainee teachers and they interview and they set the entry requirements. The University of Lincoln simply accepts the students that the schools have told us will be joining them, and therefore they set the entry requirements. So I think it's a 2-1 or above if you want to go on to teacher training. Okay. So postgraduate study is a really good way of enhancing your potential. Now, more than a third of graduates now have a postgraduate qualification under their belt as well as their bachelor's. So it is becoming more common for the labour market to be looking at postgraduate candidates, as well as those people who've left university with that BA or BSc. So having a postgraduate qualification is a really good way of keeping up with that curve and making sure that you are maximising the visibility of your CV and application and showing that you have gone on to that extra level and that you've got the really important skills that go along with that extra layer of study. And on my next slide, I'll go on to what the University of Lincoln's master portfolio can offer you in terms of those vocational skills, because it's something that the university is really passionate about enhancing. So yeah, the University of Lincoln, they're looking at offering more vocational masters. We've got masters that include placements, consultancy projects, and also new for the masters courses starting this autumn, they're going to have employability skills modules to go along with the academic learning that you'll do, and those will help you enter the workplace. So that's a really good way of seeing a master's course, is that it's not just teaching you the academic knowledge, it's also enhancing your vocational skills. So, people may be wondering about studying a postgraduate qualification at this time. Now, obviously, the coronavirus situation is something that nobody could have foreseen. And I know that a lot of people who are graduating this year are probably slightly concerned about what the job market is going to be like. Now, my advice to you all is that you need to make the decision as to what you do after graduating very carefully. And it's a very personal decision, as I've said before, and ultimately it has to be the right decision for you. So the great thing about what you can do now is you can do further research, you can make use of the resources that the Careers and Employability Service has. You can also speak to people like myself about postgraduate study, and you can really make an informed decision that suits you best. So you've got plenty of time to decide still. For the majority of courses that the University of Lincoln offer, we don't have hard and fast deadlines that mean that you need to be applying for a course, next week. You still have time to think about what is best for you. But it's worth considering that, in this current market, maybe postgraduate study is a good way of utilising this year if it's something that you're already thinking about anyway. So can postgraduate study be helpful in times of recession? So the financial crash back in 2008, there was a markup in master's applications because employability opportunities were lower than they might normally be, and people brought forward their plans to study. So it was a good way of them using that time if they weren't able to find a job and they'd already been thinking that they may want to go on to postgraduate study. And the study that has been done by HEPI has also shown that in the last recession, employment among those with postgraduate qualifications was slower to fall and faster to recover than for those with only a first degree. So that could be an indication of how the labour market responds with the coronavirus pandemic. As I said, I think it's really important that you carefully think about the decisions that you need to be making in the next couple of weeks and months. And if you've got queries, if you're unsure, if you're undecided, then please do speak to myself and my colleagues in the postgraduate team and also in the Careers and Employability Service, because there's lots of support out there for you. We want to make sure that you feel really looked after in this period and that you've got all of the resources of the University of Lincoln behind you. So, do your research, think about things carefully, and you'll make the right decision for you. Now, I've just had a comment from Bradley saying, I'm a first year student. Is this about recession applicable for future reference? It could be. I mean, it's very difficult to know what's going to happen in the future. It's very difficult to know what will happen in the next couple of weeks and months, let alone years. This is just a slide for reference, really, just if you were wondering about whether it's the right time to do a postgraduate study now, given the current climate. I can't give you a firm answer on that. It really is personal choice and personal decision and what suits you and your circumstances the best. It's just worth considering and worth knowing that if you are really interested in getting into work at this point in time, then the Careers Service are going to be able to help you with that. If you're interested in doing postgraduate study and you're thinking either bringing it forward because of the current situation, or you've already been thinking about applying for September anyway, then this is just information that you can bear in mind that could be helpful for you in the job market. How do you apply for a postgraduate course? I will go on to how to apply in the next couple of slides, so don't worry, we will cover that information off. Okay, so as I said previously, the University of Lincoln is really keen to maximise the vocational skills of its postgraduate students, and we really want to make sure that postgraduate students who leave us feel like they've got a really well-rounded experience, that we've helped them with developing their softer skills, as it were, as well as obviously teaching them new things within their field. So with that in mind, the Careers Service and academic staff have worked to put together a new employability skills module, which will be known as the Horizons pathway. And there will be more information coming through about that very shortly. We're going to be making sure that we've got a website or a web page devoted to it. So there will be more information coming. But there's a brief description on the slide here. So the pathway is going to be a blend of face-to-face and online sessions with subject-specific opportunities. So the pathway is going to be more bespoke to the area in which you're studying. It will cover core digital and employability skills for success in the future economy. So it's very much looking forward to after you leave the university and go into the workplace. And completion of the pathway will allow you to embed a digital badge within your online CV or LinkedIn profile. And that will demonstrate to employers that you've got this additional skill set that you've honed whilst at university and you're ready to enter into the job market and be a really useful member of staff. So it's a really good opportunity. It is an optional module, so you don't have to do it. But if you think that that may be something of interest, then there will be more information coming out in the next couple of weeks. And it's really well worth looking into. And I know that the Careers Service have been doing loads of work in putting this module together. So it should be really, really useful for people. Okay, so changing your direction through postgraduate study. Now, as I said, it's really common for people to look at changing their direction after finishing their undergraduate studies. I did it, and I know that it's quite common across the board because many of my friends have come from different areas of expertise, and we're now working in HE, so you can end up going to loads of different areas of the job market. And if you do think that you want to change your direction, doing a postgraduate course is a really good way of doing that. Now, there's a list of conversion masters on the screen now. So all of the master courses in the business school will accept students from any academic background. So you may have done fine art at undergraduate level, and you may be looking at potentially starting your own business and you want more of your own marketing or management. Those courses are open to you in the business school. It may be that you really want to go into nursing. We've got a 2-year MSc nursing course, which will take students from a variety of different backgrounds. We've had criminology students go on to nursing before. And as I said, that's a 2-year course. It converts your skills. You do placements, you get onto the register at the end of the programme. So that's a really great way if you're looking to get into healthcare at the moment, then that's a really good option. We also offer a social work course, that's another 2-year MSc. And there is a work experience requirement for that and the nursing course, but for social work, the amount of work experience that you have is not set. So you don't need a certain level of experience. It's more about how you reflect on that experience and what you've learned from it. And we have other courses such as the MA in journalism and other similar variants, and the MA creative writing and publishing course, which is delivered in partnership with The Guardian. And again, that will take students from a very wide variety of backgrounds. You do not need to be an English student to go onto those courses. And as somebody's asked about previously, we do have teacher training programmes, the PGCEs, both in primary and secondary education. So if you think that teaching may be something that you're really interested in, then I'd really recommend finding out more and potentially contacting the providers as well. We've got contact details on the course pages on our website. If you want me to link those in the chat box, say, and I will do so. But those give you an indication of where you can potentially move on from your undergraduate degree. So you're not pigeonholed at this stage. There's loads of different options for you if you feel that the current job opportunities that you have, having studied at your undergraduate degree, don't quite fit you, may not be what you want for the future, then there's ways of changing that about. Okay, Harriet, I can see that you would like the links for the skip providers, so I will provide that now. Does anybody have any questions at this stage? I can see that Bradley's got one, and I will answer that in a moment. If anybody else has any questions at this stage, please put them below. Just going to get the links for you, Harriet. Okay. There we go. So Bradley, with the PhD in law, I think it is a 2-1 or above that you need to get at your undergraduate degree. Let's see. It generally is for PhD programmes, but I will double check for you. Okay. So I've also just posted the entry requirements for the PhD in law as well. Tegan, do you offer a Masters in Mathematical Finance? I've not started looking at unis to apply to yet, but that's what I want to do. Not Mathematical Finance specifically. I think we do a Finance and Accounting Masters. Yeah, we do a Finance MSc and we do an Accounting and Finance MSc. Yeah, I don't think that we offer the specific name of the course that you're after. We do a economics and finance program as well. Sorry, that's at undergraduate level. Mathematics. We do an applied mathematics MPhil opportunity as well at the University of Lincoln. I hope, Tegan, that I've semi-answered your question about the course. As I said, mathematical finance specifically we don't offer, but we do have variations of finance and accounting and finance as well. So if that's something that is similar to what you're interested in, then it may be worth looking at the course pages on the website. For each programme, there is a course page, and that course page has information about the modules that are offered. So you can look at what the core modules are, so the modules that everyone needs to do, and whether there's optional modules as well that interest you. So that goes for everybody really. If you're considering a master's course, I'd really recommend looking at the content of that programme because they will probably vary from institution to institution, and you just want to make sure that the modules included accord and chime with your interests. Harriet, in relation to funding, there is a separate slide about that, so don't worry, I will go on to that particular topic as well. And finally, I just want to talk about the postgraduate premium when it comes to considering employability and postgraduate study. There's been a study by the Sutton Trust that shows that on average, somebody with a master's can earn on average around £200,000 more over the course of their career span. That equates to about £5,500 more a year in salary than somebody who has got a bachelor's degree but didn't go on to further studying. So it shows that there is a kind of level of investment there. You're investing in your future to get a greater return at the end of it. So that's also worth thinking about when you're weighing up your options and when you're thinking about whether postgraduate study is right for you. It has been shown that on average, people who do stay on and do a postgraduate qualification will hopefully end up earning on average more money than if they had left at the stage of undergrad. So again, worth bearing in mind. So we'll now go on to the practical bits. So funding your postgraduate study. Now there's different methods of funding depending on your desired course. The main method of funding is the postgraduate loan. And for people starting in autumn 2020, the maximum loan value is £11,222. Now you can apply for as much or as little of that as you want, and we'll talk more about that in the next slide. But that, for the vast majority of people, will be the way that they fund their postgraduate course. It's operated by Student Finance England, so if you're currently receiving funding from them, you stay with that agency. And I'll go on to talk about that in more detail now. If you're interested in social work, there is a different method of funding. There is a dedicated bursary, and there's also ancillary financial support for people who are looking at the social work course. If you don't get the bursary, there is a cap on numbers. You can then apply for the postgraduate loan, but the social work bursary is more generous than the loan. So I definitely recommend that. If you are interested in social work, applying for that as your plan A. if for whatever reason we get to the cap, then there is the postgraduate loan that you can also apply for. If you're interested in the allied healthcare courses, physiotherapy, nursing, occupational therapy, then the funding situation is the same as at undergraduate level. So again, you go through Student Finance England if that's the agency that you're currently applying through, and it's a means tested element as well as a loan. So you can get an assessment from that agency and they will tell you what you could be entitled to. But if your personal circumstances aren't changing, then it's very likely that you will just pass from your current undergraduate system to the postgraduate system, and it will be, you know, very easy, and you'll expect to receive a similar level of funding. That's also the same if you're looking at PGCEs. So again, if you're with Student Finance England, you can go back to them and apply for another year's funding for your PGCE. Again, there is that means tested element as well. So if you've got queries about what you may be entitled to and the level of help that you can apply for, speak to Student Finance England, or there's numerous calculators online as well that you'll be able to use. But yeah, for most people, the postgraduate loan is the source of funding that they will be applying for. Now, I'll be talking more about postgraduate loan in a moment because, as I said, it's the most common way that people do fund their courses. But if you do have any queries whatsoever, please email the postgraduate team. I've put the email address on the screen now, so do make a note of it. If you think that you may have questions after this session, then please drop us an email. We're always happy to help on issues of funding. So yeah, just make use of that. And we've also got the postgraduate applications tab on Blackboard as well. So there's lots of links on there that you may find helpful. Okay, so this is a slide about the postgraduate loan. As I said, it's administered by Student Finance England. For the vast majority of people here, you will already know about Student Finance England and will already be dealing with them. If you think that you may be covered by Student Finance Wales, Scotland or Northern Ireland, they have their own system, so it's worth just checking in with them to see whether they're going to be able to cover you for your postgraduate year, but I'm guessing that most people in England. So you simply stay with that agency at postgraduate level. As in my previous slide, the maximum loan value is £11,222 for courses starting in autumn 2020. Now, what is different between the undergraduate system and the postgraduate system is that the postgraduate loan is not means tested. So you don't need to provide evidence of personal circumstances, familial income, household income, anything like that. It is a sort of one-size-fits-all funding package. And for that reason, it's a very short online application. You don't really need to send anything in support of your application. It's just an online form that you submit, and you will then be sort of assessed very quickly. It's quite a quick turnaround for the postgraduate loan applications. Now, there's more information on the government website. Now, I'll put a link in the chat box as well, just in case you want to have a look now. But as I said, please do feel free to email me with any queries because I can give you more information via email. But this is a really good place to start. The applications don't open until the end of June, so don't worry if you're looking on the website and you can't find out how to apply for your course in October. It's not open yet, so you can't actually submit an application until the end of June. So hopefully that gives you a bit more of an idea about what's available. If anybody here is looking at applying for social work or one of the healthcare programmes or PGCE and have any questions, then let me know. Likewise, if you've got queries about the postgraduate loan, you just type them into the chat box or shout them out and mute your microphone if you've got any questions that you want to ask. But it's a very straightforward process with the postgraduate loan as to what you're used to at undergraduate level. It's in terms of repayment as well, it's very, very similar to what you'll be used to in that you don't start to repay the funding until you earn over a certain amount. So that's worth bearing in mind. Olivia, I can see that you've got a question about the money that you'll be entitled to through the social work bursary. Now that depends because it is means tested. So what I would recommend is I will get you the link to the website with more information, and there is a helpline number on there as well. So that is probably where I would advise you to start. But it is a generous scheme, so it's definitely worth applying for. So that's the website that you're to look at. And let me see if I can get the phone number for you. Okay. Let's see. I think that's the telephone number, the general line for the agency. So I'd recommend potentially calling through to there and seeing if they can put you to somebody who can advise you further and maybe give you an assessment as well as to what you could apply for. Harriet, with the salaried teacher training schemes, I don't know whether the same funding position applies because the University of Lincoln doesn't do the, I think it's called, is it Schools Direct, that salaried option? I think you'll need to have a little look online about that because unfortunately, I don't know. I think it's probably different because it is salaried. And I think from looking into this way back for a friend, I think that you normally need to be working at a school already and go through the school direct process as an existing employee of a school, but I could be wrong on that. It could be that you can apply as a completely brand new teacher and get a salaried training position with a school, but because Lincoln offers the more traditional PGCE option, I only know the funding for those courses, I'm afraid. So sorry, but there will be plenty of information online about that. Something to note about the postgraduate loan as well is that it's paid directly to you. So when you come to postgraduate level, you pay the course fees to the university. The loan gets paid to you and then you pay the university. Now the University of Lincoln offers different payment methods. I presume that's similar to other universities as well, but I'm not sure because when it gets to postgrad level, universities have more flexibility in how they operate. But with Lincoln, you can pay course fees either all up front, termly or monthly. The loan gets paid to you termly, so most students will set up a payment plan where they're paying in instalments, and those instalments are termly to match the payment dates of the loan. And it gives you a little bit more control over budgeting as well. A lot of people at postgraduate stage do have part-time work alongside their studies. That's entirely up to you and your personal circumstances, but it is very common for people to fit jobs in and around their studies. Now, if you are interested in jobs with the University of Lincoln, I know that we, in my department anyway, we've got occasional work opportunities for people, student ambassador opportunities mainly. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, then we can definitely give you more information on that. But that's a good way of supplementing your income for postgraduate level. Brilliant, Harriet. So yeah, we're always looking for people who will help out as an ambassador. Obviously at the moment things are slightly different because we're not running our usual open days and things like that, but I think we are starting to look for next year. So if it's something that you're interested in, do get in touch with the PG Inquiries mailbox and we can let you know what we've got available for you when the time comes. If you're a graduate and you're looking for work when you're a postgraduate student, and yes, that's absolutely fine. If you're looking for a graduate job at the university, then check the university website. There's full-time positions mainly available through there. But yeah, if you're a current student with us, you would be eligible to be in our student ambassador pool. We send job notifications to. So if we've got something coming up and we need student ambassadors, we send a call out and people can volunteer for the shifts that they want. I've just seen a comment from Nazreen. Do Lincoln University offer funded PhD or scholarship opportunities for 20 to 21? If yes, when is it going to be advertised? So Nazreen, we do offer studentships, as they're called. They're funded PhD opportunities. And studentships usually involve the scholarships towards the tuition fees, and then usually a stipend as well, which is a salary to go alongside. Now, PhD opportunities, funded PhD opportunities within universities are looking for people who have a area of interest that the university is trying to promote. So many of the studentships at Lincoln are geared towards areas that Lincoln are trying to get more research expertise in, or they already have a really strong research base and they're looking to continue on that research. We always advertise studentship opportunities on our website, and we do have a dedicated page. Let me get that for you. And it just depends what we have on at the moment. So not every PhD that we offer will be a funded opportunity. It really depends on, again, what the university is trying to expand into, or you know, what academics at the University of Lincoln are looking to promote. So I've put a link there. Those are all the current studentships that we have. We also advertise them on websites such as Find a PhD, so it's worth checking on there as well. And we'll renew them constantly. So it could be that we get research opportunities coming up at different times throughout the year. So if there's not something that you are particularly interested in at the moment, keep on checking back in, and even maybe make contact with the school to see whether they think that they might have opportunities coming up. It's always worth checking with the academics, because ultimately they're going to be leading on those opportunities. So just because it's not on the website now doesn't mean that it's not going to come up in future. You're welcome. Okay, so many people will already know that there is an alumni scholarship available, but I'll just do a little bit of talking around it just in case people aren't aware. So as students of the University of Lincoln, you are eligible for alumni scholarships. Now, for UK EU students, that's a 20% discount on postgraduate tuition fees, or for international students, it's £2,000 deduction off tuition fees. That's the value for academic year 20 to 21. Every year, the value of the scholarship is reviewed. So it could go up, it could go down. If you've been graduated for 5 years, you're still eligible for that. So we often get people who come back to the University of Lincoln from 10 years back, and they're interested in postgraduate study, and they are still eligible. So even if you didn't start a postgraduate in September, if it wasn't the right time for you, if we're still offering the discount in years to come, you will be eligible for it. It's just that we can't guarantee that the scholarship will be the same value, if that makes sense. Now, there's no application process for the alumni scholarship. We recognise you as a previous student or as a current student if you apply whilst you're still with us. And the tuition fees are automatically discounted at the point of enrolment. So you don't need to jump through hoops. You don't need to write an essay on how great Lincoln is or anything like that. It's very, very easy. You're automatically eligible. Now, it is worth noting that the discount isn't available for every single programme. There are exclusions on the website. I will try and find them now and put them on, but it's largely the PGC courses and the healthcare courses. That's simply because the value of those courses is set from a central perspective. So for most courses that universities offer, they will be able to charge fees that they think is reasonable, but for many of the healthcare courses, those are just the same across the board. So the alumni scholarship doesn't apply to those courses. I'll get you the link so you can read a little bit more about it. But it's a really good opportunity and a really good incentive for current students of the University of Lincoln. If they do want to stay on, obviously that 20% discount or £2,000 off is a real chunk out of their course fees. So it's well worth bearing in mind and taking into account when you're considering, you know, where you want to study. Let's see if I can get the information up for you. Yeah. Where would I be without a chat box? Right, there is the link to the alumni scholarship if you want to do more reading around it. And as always, if you've got any questions, please just type them or unmute and ask me. Okay, so how to apply. Now, there's different methods of applying for a postgraduate course, and it depends on your personal circumstances and also what programme you're applying for. Now, for people who are applying for a taught master's programme and are current students of the University of Lincoln, there is a fast track application. It's a 7-stage fast track application that's accessible via Blackboard. So we've got a dedicated postgraduate applications tab, and across the top of that tab is a really obvious banner saying fast track application, apply now. You click onto that. Actually, a lot of the information that you need to put in is already pre-populated because we recognise your information. You add a personal statement in, and then you submit it. And the turnaround time for applications is usually very swift as well. We'd say that normally, subject to you not needing interviews or portfolio reviews or anything like that, you'll probably get an offer within 2 weeks. If you're applying for a master's by research, what's known as an MRes, so for instance, some of our courses you'll see are described as MA History by Research. That's an MRes programme. You'll need to apply via the website. You'll also need to apply for the website if you're applying for the allied healthcare programmes, so social work, physiotherapy and nursing. And if you've already left us, if you've already left the University of Lincoln and you're an alumni, or you're going to be completely new to the University of Lincoln, you don't have access to that Blackboard page. So because of that, you'll need to apply through the website. Now, what I'd recommend is applying through the PDF application form on the website. That's the easiest way to do it. You can download the PDF application, fill it in at your leisure, saving as you go, and then you can simply email it to the PG team. Again, our email address is on the screen now. And that's the best way that I would say for people to apply. So if you're looking at a research programme, you're not currently a University of Lincoln student, or you're applying for one of the healthcare courses, I'd recommend applying for the applying through the PDF application. Now, we do offer one-to-one application assistant appointments. So if you want any help with your personal statement, if you want any help with who to add as a reference, any questions along those lines, we can arrange either a voice call or a video call, and we can work through the application with you. So there's lots of support available. A lot of people tend to really overthink the personal statement element, and it's a lot easier than I think people expect. It doesn't need to be a really academic document with sources and all sorts. It's very, very similar to what you will have completed when you applied at undergraduate level. What needs to be said is why you're applying, what your interest is, how you want to use the masters for your future career, and just showing a real interest in the subject as opposed to anything else. But please don't feel intimidated by it, because actually it is a very, very straightforward document to put together, and people are often surprised when we send out personal statement guidance to people. They're often surprised at how straightforward it needs to be, and it doesn't need to be really long either. We often say between 300 to 500 words, so you don't need to write pages and pages of of notes. If you do want typed up personal statement guidance, email that PG Inquiries inbox and we can send you written guidance. Likewise, if you're applying for a Masters by Research and you need to put together a research proposal, or if you're applying for a PhD or MPhil, for instance, we can send out typed research proposal guidance as well. So there's lots of support available if you are thinking of applying. Okay, so that sort of comes to the conclusion of this presentation. If you want to find out more, please do email the team. Again, that email address is on the screen if you haven't already written it down. You can attend one of our future events. We've got loads of online events still going ahead. We've moved all of our events online. So we've got Postgraduate Open Day coming up with dedicated subject sessions. So you can almost do like a taster session with an academic. We've got a coffee club, which is virtual, so you can make yourself a coffee from the comfort of your own home and join us. We've got PG themed events. Oh, thank you, Harriet. Thanks, Carla. Thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful. And we've got offer holder mixers as well. So if you're one of our offer holders and you want to get to know people before term begins, we've got those events running in June. Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And yeah, there's loads and loads of options available in terms of events. So do check out the website. And finally, the Postgraduate Applications Blackboard also has loads of resources on it. So please click onto that and have a little browse, see if anything is helpful to you. We've got content like blogs as well, so you can hear from students as opposed to, you know, looking through the university created content. Just got some more questions here, so I'll just deal with those quickly. So just to confirm, I've finished my third year and would like to apply for physiotherapy masters. Should I apply through the PDF? Yes, Kayla. So if you're looking at applying for physiotherapy, then if you go onto the course page on the website, on the toolbar down the side, you'll see download application form. If you click on that, then you can just start typing that up. You can also create an account via OneU, and that option is also available through the course page just below the button where you download the application form. So there's two options available for you if you want to apply for the physiotherapy masters. Tegan, are you able to email this out so I can refer back to it? Yes, of course. I'll email the recording out so you can have a listen at your leisure. Yep, there's more support available as part of the graduate support week. So do look at the other events available. I know that there's loads of sessions being planned with employers. So yeah, really helpful from the Careers and Employability Service. So that concludes, I think. If anybody has any other questions, please do just email me. Always really happy to help. And thank you once again for being here and taking time out this lovely sunny day to join me. And best of luck with whatever you decide to do as well. Thank you, everybody.